Okay, I'm once again back on Swenson Range. Um, and once again, I'm going to say this is a feature that I really hope that I can convince, or the community can convince the staff at Ghost Recon to put into Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I'd love to have had it even in Wildlands, but I think it's probably too late in for that one. And I say I would love them to put this in because they built this feature for this game, which is America's Army. Um, Ubisoft was the studio that built that for the U.S. Army, who is the publisher. Okay, so if you haven't seen the other two videos to understand what I'm doing, it's basically looking at what I consider to be fairly realistic bullet drop um, in this game. Is it is meant to be a simulator put out by the U.S. Army, simulating what it would be to uh, be in the shoes of a fairly well trained soldier, though I also would make the distinction that the soldier is not at the tier 1 level. If you want to see how people like that shoot, I would say good guy to see online would be Pat McNamara, recently detached CAG guy, or even if you want to see what another professional shooter looks like, you can check out Jerry Misulik. He's a he may be a 7-year-old man, but he can still like seriously sling some lead. So I'm using today the M4, and it does not give me in this particular module of the game the option for a magnified sight. So I'm just basically using the aim point sight on this. That is what it is. That's the sight that I can use in this module. So I'm going to shoot everything from prone, and we're going to look at the various distances here. Let me get up to the firing line. I'll show you. But I also want to show you this. This is what the Army wanted as their in-game combat crawl for people who... I've seen some comments in the Breakpoint forums about soldiers should hold the rifle in both hands while crawling. Um, U.S. Army disagrees. Um, Sorry, but it is what it is. So I'm shooting from prone just for accuracy's sake, because I want to get the best idea of what bullet drop looks like, as opposed to uh, just also having to deal with the sway of him breathing. That's one of the things you get in this. As you can see, even right now, the gun is bobbing up and down with the soldiers breathing. So let's see. Transition over to the spotting scope. We're going to hit 50 meters. I know they say yards. I dealt with this in the first video. I'm going to keep saying meters because after a lifetime of doing it, that's what I'm used to now. 75 meters, 100 meters, 150 meters, 200 meters, and even though I can barely see it without the scope, with the scope, 250 meters. Go get... So yeah, even though I can barely see that without the spotting scope, maybe it's my eyes, maybe it's the screen, maybe it's my gamma, I don't know. I'll try and hit the... I will shoot the 250 meter target with the M4 so we can get an idea of what overall bullet drop is. Okay, so I'm starting off here and I'm doing single shot so you don't get any of the initial climb or any of those problems from burst. So, yep, all in the center. Did not mean to do that. $75 meters, no significant drop. Yes, I know my grouping isn't that great. This is a video game character playing, shooting this, not me. with a lot of sway that I don't feel like I have, but I can't control the video game. There's always going to be things that are added for video game mechanics. I think the exaggerated breathing sway in this is one of those. So 100 meters. Still hitting pretty center. Now, in Ghost Recon Wildlands, we don't know about Breakpoint yet because it hasn't dropped. We'll find out on September 5th. 100 meters, you could expect to have the rifle shoot or the firearm shoot fairly flat out to 100 meters. At least, especially the rifles and the M4 platform. After that, we started seeing fairly significant drop off. So we're going to see what we get here, okay? I'm going to keep, as long as I can do it, I'm going to keep the target, the reticle on the bull and see what we can pull off. Okay, so here we go, 150 meters. We're seeing a little bit lower, and I'm not sure how much of that is me and not having a magnified sight on this, and how much is the actual drop. I'm going to move out to 200 meters now. Okay. In all honesty, in the game at 200 meters, you'd have to have some significant holdover. Let's see what we have to do here. Alright, that first one was dead on. Notice I am doing the breath hold feature so I get rid of a lot of that sway. Again, there's another one to hit, and that's with the reticle on the bull. Still no holdovers. 3 on. Alright, so all of those I was center, and I'm hitting there. Okay, so that wouldn't be a headshot, but it would definitely be hitting the guy. And that's at 200 meters. That's not a lot of significant drop. Let's see if I can hit the 250 meter mark without any holdover. Alright, first one was a miss. Try again. Alright, so that's 2 without holdover. And it sounded like, or it appears, since I didn't hit, that they're going under. I'm going to try and do some holdover right about there, and we'll see what we can get from there. There we go. That's steel on target. So hit again. And one more. Alright, so I was aiming in between the disc and the range plate there, and you can see where they were hitting, which is just south of the right there, which is just south of the Red Bull. So it's a little bit of holdover, and in all honesty, depending on where the rifle is zeroed, and for instance, it seems to be zeroed at 50, right? In M4, if it's zeroed at 50, the next zero would be at 150. It should technically be hitting high at 75 and 100, and then it would start to drop off, because it's dealing with an arc, drop off at 200 and 250, so we may have to do a little bit of holdover. And I could show you the EOTech site for that. So, alright, up to standing. So there's that. Alright, so let's see. Other cool features with this. Let's look at a mag change. Notice one saves in chamber. I have 31 rounds and 3 remaining mags. Now, if I were to cycle through those mags, eventually I will get that that half mag that I just dropped out. I know a lot of us had requested that Ubisoft include that in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, an actual mag system like you see here, where I have, you know, so many mags, and that's the current bullet count in the one I have. We don't know if they'll implement that or not. Really hope they will. Especially since, as again, they've already done it for this game. It seems like a no-brainer to me. Alright, so we saw very little actual bullet drop. Let's look at recoil profile, okay? So once again, every time I do recoil profile, I'm going to do 4 positions. One is supported off of whatever cover I have. In this one, they provide me a nice little wall. Unsupported standing, kneeling, and then prone. Okay. So let's come over here to the supported position, and I'm going to basically do my best just to let. I'm basically just going to let the rifle carry itself, so you see what kind of climb it has in the game here. Oh, okay, so probably help if I put it on auto. Alright, so instead of a 31 round mag, you're not getting 30. Alright, so yep, take a look at that. That is for an AR platform, meaning the Armalite rifle, which is what an M4 is. I know in Breakpoint they call anything that's an assault rifle, quote unquote, an AR. That's technically inaccurate. They're carbines. But on this platform, that is a fairly typical, that's how it should be, because the recoil is all in line. And yes, if it was a tier 1 unit, they would work this over in the weapons room and really tighten that in even more. But since we are modding here, simulating here what it's like to be an infantry soldier in the US Army, you get a standard issue M4, including little like numbers there, paint, like with nail polish or whatever they do it with in the Army, painted on the side. So anyway, anybody who served in the Army and knows anything about why they do those little numbers, I'd love to hear that, because I really don't know, and when I was in, I never cared to find out, and now I'm just kind of curious. So if you could let us know what's going on with that, that'd be great. Otherwise, here we go. I'm going to do unsupported, and again, we'll see how this goes. Alright, so we got a little bit of dispersion there. And for a like you're doing full auto, which means the rifle's just dancing in your hands. That's really normative for what I call an untuned rifle, which means it hasn't had any exterior, hasn't had any work done on the gas block or the recoil spring to bring the recoil down. And in a standard issue Army rifle, the recoil can be quite forceful, and most of that is because of the crazy tests the U.S. Army makes these guns go through before they'll accept them in the service. A lot of them are overtuned to never fail, because they do things to them at the Aberdeen Proving Ground that no sane soldier would ever be allowed to do to their rifle. Like not clean them, drag them through mud, shove them in sand, things like that, and still require them to shoot without failure. Like I said, no soldier would ever do that, be allowed to do that. They have actual standards they have to meet or face various forms of discipline depending on your service branch. But they do it. That's the Army's requirement to getting a gun pass in the service for whatever reason. Don't ask me why. So a lot of them are overtuned like that. And again, you don't have to take just my word for it. You can find Larry Vickers talking about this online, Pat Mack talking about this online. Both Matt Bissonette, aka Mark Owens, and Rob O'Neill talked about this in their books of their time in Dev Crew and Red Squadron. Um, so yeah, it's pretty much open source that the cool boys get cool toys and their guns get reworked to be more handleable. Okay, so moving on, we've done standing, going to kneeling. Once again, I'm going to just let the rifle climb as it will, and we'll see the recoil profile. Alright, so that's what we get with that. And lastly, let's see, this is prone. Okay, so there you go. You know what, let me do something real quick, and this wasn't intended as part of this video. Normally I would show you some other things. With the pistols I did some other things on the various indoor range bits there. Let me grab, where is it? Okay, so this is the AK-105 holographic sight. And it's basically the Soviet, see, I'm old. The Russian version of an M4, right? Like it's an AK chopped down to be a CQB rifle. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with this, but the thing that you have, let me run back up here real quick so I can point it out on a gun that I'm not holding. Alright, so if you take a look at the AK, so that's the 107, that's equivalent to the M16. So what you have is the rifle here, right? So there's the barrel into the receiver, blah blah blah, and that's a straight line. And really, what you want is all of your recoil to travel in a straight line back from there into the shoulder of the user, and that will give you the absolute least amount of felt recoil. Besides whatever's going on in the piston here that you can rework by reworking the gas system a little bit and the buffer springs and things like that. Okay, so what the AK does is it has this really exaggerated, all AKs have this really exaggerated upper tube, right? And that shoves a bolt back, which rides higher than the barrel, at least the piston in there rides higher than the barrel. So that's already pushing your recoil back on a higher angle. Now, I'm going to get as much side as this as I can. The other problem you have is in most AKs, now some of the really modern ones you see coming out now don't do this as much. They have this downward angled stock that was really popular back then, I guess would be the word. So what you get happening is this acts like a pivot here for the recoil coming here, which causes the rifle barrel to rise because all of this driving force pounding back above the weld point where the stock meets the shoulder. Okay, you can kind of see it there as I'm running. That how high it is there on the dust cover. So even when I go support it like this, and this is what you're going to see, right? You're going to watch this climb. So that's AK. This is M4. Right? Side by side difference. That is the recoil differences of those two rifles. Here, and just for giggles, I'll do all 4 positions. Oh my gosh, my soldier is loaded down with some stuff right now. Once again, standing, unsupported, AK. Shooting the ceiling. Standing unsupported, M4. There. Kneeling, AK. Again, shooting the ceiling. Kneeling, M4. And finally, prone AK. And prone M4. Alright, so those are realistic recoil profiles. You can see the differences. And in all of my time shooting, in service and out, that is exactly what I would experience. No matter how much you tune the rifles, you're still going to get that basic. This might get a little bit tighter, that line may get a little bit shorter, but that's the basic recoil difference you're going to get. Personally, I would love it if Breakpoint added some more realistic recoil profiles. I don't think they will. I think they're pretty much balancing everything off the M4. They'll probably balance everything off the M4 because otherwise people complain about balance and things like that. So there you have it. That's the M4, and yeah, you got a little bit of the AK there as well. I didn't do the AK bullet drop. I'll do that in another video. This one's already getting long. So again, I hope you're enjoying these.